What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I have my camera set up again, and I'm finally getting set up in my home office. So the videos and the quality should be coming back again and be better than they have been, obviously, in the previous weeks. With that being said, we're up $2,500 trading from today. So I'm going to recap the biggest trade, which was on BCRX for you. And then you guys will see the live trades that I did on NEO today. So NEO will be a very interesting one for you guys to watch because it will show me shorting NEO at the wrong time, but managing it well enough to still end up making it green. So that's going to be an interesting one for you. We picked the price target on NEO. We start getting short just shy of the price target, and it actually exceeded the price target that I thought it would get to. So that's why I got caught up in a short that went negative but still ended up turning up green by managing it properly. So that should be a fun one. All these trades coming up for you guys in just a sec. All right, guys. So here we're looking at the stock of BCRX today. This was one of the leading gappers going into the open. The stock ended up running from, I mean, you can see it ran from like $6 all the way up to a high of $7.59. So my trade today, overall, in the couple trades I did on it, netted a gain of $2,500. I did not trade this as well as I could have, made some mistakes along the way. The trade ended up panning out, and it made a big win on the day. So this should be fun to recap with you guys here. So to put it simply, what happened today with this trade was I ended up going short on the top of this candle, and then I pretty much added short on these candles, all the way up into the 759 price. To put it simply, I pretty much shorted all the green move up, and then I covered on the way down. All right. So I actually was negative about $2,000 or so when we were close to the high of 759. And then as we started to roll back down here, I added more short, and then I also added more short here as we started to come down. So my total position size on this pre-market trade was about 12,000 shares. If I had done my job a little bit better and waited for it to get more extended pre-market towards the 760 price, and then I started to really hammer it short, this could have been well into a $6, $7, $8,000 trade, but I didn't manage it appropriately starting out. So I ended up having about 12,000 shares short, and this is really how it went: short, 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 all the way up, short more, and then as we came here and broke down, I started covering all of that trade pretty much into this low. And then I kept a few hundred shares on short so that when market open happened, I would still have some on if it dropped out. And then we ended up adding another, basically 2,000 shares short on the top of this move and covered it all the way into the bottom of that move. And so we ended up netting a total of $2,500 on that trade. Kind of mad that I didn't have the recording going for you guys for that trade, but at least you'll be able to get to witness a live trade here today on NEO, which was still fun and still good to review. So what is the main reason for wanting to long this move on BCRX? Or sorry, what was the main reason to short this move on BCRX today? And I'll run you guys through it. All right, so we're first going to start here on the long-term chart. So let me delete my drawings first. Thinkorswim just has been running so slow for me recently. I don't really know what the deal is. All right, so if we go and look at the long-term chart, we'll start at the daily chart. The price had ran all the way up to about seven. Well, we had it was what, 760 pre-market. So if you look at the 760s price on the daily chart, that is the 3 deviation mark. So for those of you new to the channel, pretty much anytime the price runs up to this blue line, on the upside, we're going to be bearish. So this is resistance at 750. Okay. And if we look at the 4-hour chart too, you will notice that the blue line starts here at 720. So for me today, pre-market, anything over the price of 720 to 760 was a short. And as you guys can see, my first short that I started was on this candle. I started shorting the top of that candle, and then anything above that 720, I was shorting into, knowing that that's a little bit overvalued and we should start to sell off in this resistance zone. And as soon as the zone broke down, we were profitable. So again, this trade was all about looking at the long-term chart, 180-day to the 365-day chart, and realizing we're overbought on that time frame and we're running right into trend resistance. Secondly, knowing that on the intraday chart, we were running all the way into this blue line, which is intraday resistance. So long-term resistance and intraday resistance was all lining up in this zone with BCRX today. And that's kind of how I knew to enter short and stay short through all the consolidation and wait for the fading breakdown. And that was really the play there. So that's all we have for you on BCRX. And now what we have coming up is going to be some of the live audio and trading from today on NIO. All right, yeah, so we got NIO moving up close to 45.20. We're not quite there. I still think we can get there. And part of the reason why is I'll bring over this chart here so I can still see NIO on that time frame. So if we look at this, like look at the screen on the right now, if you look at this 4-hour time frame, excuse me, you see this little, I'm zooming in, I'm almost there, bear with me. All right, you see this trend line in here? Right there at like, it starts at 45. This is the 4-hour time frame. So you got a little half deviation resistance mark that comes in at 45.20 there. All right, and then you got on the daily chart, if you go to the daily chart, I'm trying to get there quickly. Now, if we go to the daily chart and we zoom in, the market is essentially bouncing. We broke, right? We broke through one deviation. And now we're bouncing back up towards that deviation mark, which is at, this platform, would you just stop lagging so I can efficiently get my mouse over something? That goes up to like 45.20 almost. So that little window is where we should consider sellers are going to come in. So we've essentially on long-term timeframes bounced back up towards trending resistance, long-term trending resistance. We got up to a high there of like 44.81. And we're not quite at the price target yet, but I'm going to start something small, just 100 shares, just in case we don't fully get there. But you know, that's kind of it. Sometimes you won't get there and then you miss a play. So just taking small size so that if somehow we don't quite make it up to 45, at least I'll get a piece of this move. And then if obviously I'm willing to see the price go all the way to 40, 45, 20, 45, 30, I would love to see that. So there we go. That's up to 44.90. So we're closer. Sold, didn't sell anything actually. They didn't fill me. Sold another 100 shares. So into 200 shares short on NIO now. Again, still willing to see it all the way up to 45.30. These 200 shares are just in case it doesn't make it and it fades before that, and we'll make a little bit of money. I mean, if this drops out here pretty good, we're just going to have to cover this drop because it's already a good drop move. All right, covered 200 shares out of the 300 on that drop because why not? So just made, you know, like 40, 50 bucks, still holding 100 shares short. So if we get a bigger fade, still also willing to see it up to 45 to short more. So this could be a situation where we just get a really strong pullback and then we move higher up to 45. So it's like, if this is just a strong pullback before we move up to 45, then there's money to be made on this pullback and then more money to be made if we go higher. So, you know, however you want to trade that, I'm still in short myself with 100 shares. And if we don't ever, you know, if it doesn't get the, and that's to say, I'm not going to take a big position on this until it gets into like 45 to 45.30. So it's like this, that's what I'm saying is that's why I'm not going big here because I still think we could go up to 45. So I don't want to go in like 1,000 shares here, have it squeeze up to 45, and then say I'm wrong and it's not meant to be a short and it keeps grinding. Then you're really, you know, shit out of luck. So I'd rather be waiting till 45, 30s, add the 1,000, maybe add another couple thousand, and then if it doesn't work from there, then it doesn't work from there. The loss is small. Interesting. I don't know. I'm going to have to play with this now and see what maybe comes of. Over. So added a couple hundred shares short on the top there with the mRNA because, you know, why not? That's a pretty strong top I figured we would pull back off of. So added more shares short there. Was really just going to do like a little day trade with it. See if we could pull back some, which we already did. We already pulled back there, so I could cover a little bit, lock in the money. That was a 1 day minute chart there. Makes sense. So I just closed 150 shares out of that little short trade. My average is 159 now, 159.16 versus what did I enter short the other day? It's about the same anyway. So just added a little more short, now in short 75 shares. I was originally short, I think 25. So now I'm short 75 on the swing short. So probably just going to remain short with now 75 shares. If it goes higher, it goes higher. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, anyways, you get the point. Wow. Super slow, Thinkorswim. Very, very slow. So still in 2,500 shares short. I tried to delete my old drawings off of Thinkorswim and it just like was like, nah, maybe not. So added a little bit more short on NEO. I think we will get a retracemental pullback here pretty soon. So up to 3,100 shares short on NEO. It's still holding up pretty well there though. Better than I thought it would. So average is 45.17 currently. So added some more short. And so far, at a pretty big loss. We need the pullback to happen here. Wow, I am pretty surprised that this move has continued this well so far. So I added a little more short on NEO there as we're starting to get this red candle. So the average is 45.24. So it'd have to be below 45.24 to net a win, which might be a little challenging given how much it's actually increased since we started the short. All right, so now we're coming back down. There's 45.38. We got to get below 45.34 before we can actually get down to 45.24 and reverse the trade back to a break-even move. So in 4,900 shares short with NEO. So it's a big position. It went a little further than I thought it would, and I kind of leveraged in a little heavy, maybe a little early. So we got to fight a little bit to get back to green. So I don't think we'll net a monster trade here or anything like that. But I think we should get back down to close to the average. So might just have to take this off for a break-even trade or a small loss. All right, so there's 45.28, basically back down to our break-even price. Covering some on NEO as we drop down. Taking most of it off because our average was pretty rough on that. All right, so only in 250 shares short with NEO. So I was able to reverse that back to a small win of 93. Now I think we'll fade more. So I just didn't do a proper enough job on averaging up that short well enough. It moved a little further than I thought it would, but we should be on the downward path now, at least a bit. So it might even add a little more short if we can kind of bounce up there. It's just unfortunate. Didn't really trade that very well. I managed it okay, but didn't trade it properly enough to really net us the win. If I did that right, we should have been hitting a big win there. So, I mean, we caught the fade. We started at 45.55s for the fade. You know, if this bounces up, maybe I'll add a little bit more short on it to see, because that's just one drop. We haven't really, this isn't more of a corrective move. We haven't bounced and rolled over, which I think is still, we're still susceptible to doing. If it just drops out and just kind of keeps fading, you know, right away, then I'll have 250. If we do a little bounce up, I think I'm going to add a little bit more short on it and see if we can push a move back down. But if it just goes, then it just goes, and I have 250 shares. BILI going crazy. Let's see. Yeah, that's a big move from that stock. I remember we used to look at that a long time ago. All right, so there's the NEO move back up kind of towards resistance. So just added back short 500 shares. Okay, so now in 550 short, this was kind of that retracement move I was talking. I think we could see it go lower after the candle up. We go short, we try to smack it back down, see if we can drop out that low. That would be awesome. Okay, almost through that low, almost, not quite. Boom. All right, starting to cover as we break that low. So covered majority of those shares and 250 shares short still. Looks pretty heavy overall. Covered another 100 shares. Now just have 150 shares short. Covered another 50, so just got 100 shares short. So if this ends up fading more, then I'll have 100 shares on and we can get a little bit more out of it. But you know that we didn't do that play 100%. Wasn't as good as maybe it should have been. But as you guys can see, remember I was saying if we get up into the 45s or 45.30s, there should be a short move there. Well, it went all the way to 45.50. I didn't necessarily think it was going to 45.50, so I started going into 45 and had to go all the way up to the 45.50, which kind of messed the average up and didn't do it properly. But we're still looking decently heavy there, so we might still see that come down. Did anybody go short on the NEO move there and hold through it all with me and make that work? If I would just like to see around, see how many traders are involved in that. Nice. Okay. Good. Okay. As long as, and that's, and really what I'm trying to get a feel for is to see if you guys started averaging in when I was averaging in. If you stayed through the whole position to the point where we were able to reverse it back to a green. And really, it's just so that you can kind of start to feel how these stocks move, why you should be taking them off, when you should be taking them off, when you can average up, and trying to get the flow down of these things. Nice. Took it off, and that's 100% what you should have done. As it came down back to break even, that's the moment where you have to say to yourself, right? If you're able to confidently tell yourself, you, like I did, like we started a little too early. So we're in a position where we started too early and our average isn't going to be high enough up to the point when it drops out that we'll probably hit a big win. So if we can just get it back to break even, then that's where we should take it off and then readjust, right? It's like there's no point, right? If you know that you didn't do it properly, then you go back to a break even, take it off, and then readjust and then figure it out from there, which is what I did. We took off majority of the shares. We didn't do it properly. We're not that's where you don't play the hopeful game, right? It's like, oh, well, it could go lower. It could do this. It's like, yeah, but you kind of already sucked. So how about you don't play the hopeful game, But hey, I mean, to the T, right into the 45s, and that's our sell-off. There's our short move. Would have been nice to hit a bigger win there, but, $200, I'll take that all day, baby, all day. Oh, okay. So there was a good move. I mean, we didn't trade the best, but that's another winning trade there for the day. So happy about that. Yeah, like if I could short right now, I mean, you'd be shorting OBON. Like I was saying, anything over, 296, you'd be selling into, hoping that we would get the short move, which we've already got from 313 to a low of 282. So you've already moved, 30 cents down. So your target, would probably be somewhere down towards 261 in this move. AMD looking to bottom. I mean, I don't really like AMD myself for a long. It's trying to bottom, yes, but no, I'm not a big fan of that myself.